and the question's done, you should start the timer.
Very good. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Jeffrey. And it's 6 o'clock and we're going to start. Welcome everybody who's joined us tonight for the Meet the Candidates night. And we have the candidates for our Palm Greens 2 board position currently on the screen. And I'd like to thank them all for taking part in tonight's candidates night. And the other person I'm going to ask her to wave right now is Sharon Fratkin. And Sharon has volunteered to facilitate the evening for us. She is an experienced facilitator. She's worked in the League of Women Voters as a facilitator. And she is an owner in Palm Greens too, and has just stepped up to the plate and offered to help us tonight. I thank you very much for doing that. At this point, I'd like to also, behind the Palm Greens beautiful picture is Jeffrey Ward. And Jeffrey Ward has volunteered to be our timer for the evening. So Sharon will talk a little bit more about what that entails, but he will be showing the candidates exactly how much time they have to answer their questions. And
so Sandy, sorry to interrupt you, but I see unit owners saying that they only see you. And so, that's where you have to change your view. And that's done in the upper right-hand corner.
You need to change to gallery view.
no, I was on gallery.
No,
but
this
they need
unit
to
owner's not
change.
seeing it. So
They need
those
to
that are
change.
out there, adjust to gallery view, and then you'll see everybody, not just
Thank
who's
you.
speaking.
Thank you, Rob.
So everybody watching should change their view to gallery view.
Correct.
Unless they want to leave it on speaker view, they're only going to see who is speaking.
Correct.
I think that wraps it up for me. We're going to have the questions till about 6:40 tonight, and then at 6:40, each of the candidates will have 1 minute to summarize with closing remarks. So we should be ending approximately 6:45 with the Palm Greens 2 candidates, and then the rec board candidates will all be logging on at 7 o'clock, and we'll have that candidates night from 7 to 7:45. And
There still seems to be a bit of a problem. Somebody, how do you get your gallery view? Up in the top right corner, it says view on my screen.
minus
And
one.
if you click that, you get full screen, gallery, speaker. Personally, I do full screen and gallery, but you can do, if you're just on speaker, you're only going to see who's speaking at that moment. It's not showing. You don't have a place to change the view.
Top right-hand corner, there's a little square box. If you just scroll up in the top right-hand corner.
So it says participants are not being given the option to change their gallery.
Right. No, I mean, maybe that's a webinar setting.
Could be.
It may be set automatically to speaker, and they'll see the candidates as they speak, but not like this minute.
I'm going to, at this point, turn off my voice, video, and it's going to be going to Sharon, and then Sharon will be asking the questions to the candidates. She's going to go over a little bit of what tonight entails, and so then each of the candidates, as they respond, should be in the view. Am I correct?
Well, whoever is speaking is who they're going to see, I presume.
Right.
Somebody really needs to let us know, because the chats I'm seeing sound like they don't have the option to change anything.
I'm going to mute and then turn off my video and turn this over to Sharon.
Yeah, you will only see the speaker. That is how the webinar is probably set up. That's what you're asking. And I think that is the way that the webinar is set up. Perhaps down the road, Paul can look into somebody else, somebody at First Service changing that. But for right now, I'm welcoming you all again. When each person speaks, you will see them. That's what's going to happen tonight, it appears. So let me welcome you again, and let me just review the events. Jeffrey Ward, who has the Palm Green sign there in his box, you won't hear him The candidates will see him, and that's what's important. They'll know that time is up. He will, I don't know, he'll show up as a speaker. But what we're going to do is let the candidates know when they have 1 minute, when they have 15 seconds, and when they have time, and they will finish their sentence and end at the time. We're going to do Board of Directors first, and it'll probably end around 6:45, 6:50, and then we'll have a short break and we'll start with the Rec Board. The timing is the same for both groups, and here's what the timing is. Opening statements, each candidate has up to 2 minutes. We are doing the opening statements in alphabetical order. And then we have a group of questions that have been sent to us ahead of time by owners that were sent to Paul, and Paul gave to me this morning. And everybody answers the same question. And the answer is up to 2 minutes as well to respond to that. And those are going to be in varying random order. So it isn't always going to be the same person starting the answer. I'll tell you who to go next. And then there will be closing statements, and that you have up to 1 minute to speak during the closing statements. And then we will just take a short break and switch people over for rec. So I think we should begin for the Board of Directors candidates. We have Bill Arthur, we have Gigi Doust, I hope I'm saying that right, Anthony DiGennaro, and Rob Tom. And I see them, but you will only see them when they speak. So let's start with opening statements, shall we? And Bill Arthur will go first because his name ends with an A. It starts with an A.
Okay, how are you? My name is Bill Arthur. I'm a full-time resident here at Palm Greens for a little over 4 years. Currently retired, full-time resident. I have, okay, so let me just go into, as far as education and stuff like that, I have New York Institute of Technology, School of Engineering, the Carpet Union, Polytech, Tandon Engineering School, and many trade schools and certifications. I also have a certification in pool and spa it's in New York now, but I can update that. I did construction management and multi-million-dollar expansions and buildings in various federal government buildings, hospitals, schools, nursing homes. Basically, the house that you live in, the beautiful condos that you all live in, I built. That's what I do. Okay, I take it from the ground up, and that's what my expertise is. I'm hoping to add a little bit of diversity to an already talented staff over here, and hopefully, with everybody putting their heads together, we're gonna have we'll have a good board. Also, probably some of the things I'd like to address is some of the situations that people have been talking to me about, such as power washing sidewalks, dry events, landscaping and stuff like that. Some of this stuff I feel is safety issues, and I think they should be addressed. I also looking at possibly gating our community. I've already looked at some prices, and we'll go from there. I'm out.
Thank you, Bill. Gigi.
Yes, I'm here. So please allow me to talk about people first. I've always been fascinated by what make people healthy, happy, and socially engaged, and the things they must do to achieve it. Research data in my field of expertise identify core factors in our pursuit of happiness, health, and longevity, like a safe, peaceful environment, predictable finances, a dynamic social network, and regular entertaining activities. So what this has to do with me running for the board? Well, what I'm suggesting here is that managing a condo association is not just about budget and buildings. It's also about people living there, And I strongly believe that board members must nurture the social fabric of their community as much as they maintain the facilities and pay the bills. Therefore, my core motivation to run for office is foreseeing the possibilities to put in place through organizational effort and community activities, initiative fostering the quality of life of the resident on a regular basis, and also by sharing regularly with my fellow unit owners at the pool about our concern, needs, and views of our community. I look forward to bringing some of these to the table and contribute to a bottom-up shared decision-making. Also, I wish to give Condo the means necessary to have a voice in the future housing development and make sure the contract we sign is respected and do not infringe on the spaces administration of rights of Palm Greens Condo 2.
Thank you, Gigi. Anthony.
Hi, Anthony DiGennaro here. Most of you know me. Been around for 10 years full-time here in Palm Greens. I've owned for 17 years. My background is in management. 40 years I was owned and operated several businesses where I was responsible for quite a few employees, paying the bills, ordering the supplies. 31 years in the real estate business, which would be a benefit to the board for having some real estate background and management background. I have some ideas on how to increase our income. Currently, our only income we're getting right now is from our HOA and from any applications or estoppel fees that we get. So I have some ideas in generating some other income. And I also have some ideas in cutting back on some of the current expenses that we have, which I'm sure everybody wants to help save some money in certain areas. And this way here, we can keep our maintenance fee down to where it's reasonable. Being experienced in the real estate business, I'm also involved with other communities that I go in and I see how they operate, and I see some of them that are doing good and some of them that are not doing so good. So I could take the ones that are doing good and maybe apply it to here. But I think the backgrounds that I have in management and in real estate would be an asset to the Palm Greens community. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob.
Hello, my name is Rob Tom. I've been an owner here since 2016. My wife Kathy and I own in Court J, Sugar Palm. You might have seen us walking through the neighborhood quite often, which we do on a regular basis. I'm currently the vice president of the association. I got elected to the board back in 2020, and I'm very proud of what we've done in the last 2 years. We've brought financial stability back to this community, and we've made a number of appearance improvements. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I'm offering my time, service, skills to help keep the momentum going, because I do feel we've got a lot of momentum. My background is I was born and raised in Canada, St. Catharines, Ontario. I worked for General Motors for over 40 years. General Motors transferred me to the United States back in 1995 due to my expertise in installing computer systems. I became a U.S. permanent resident in 1998. And during my time at General Motors, I worked in 5 different functional areas, which is it's actually very unique for somebody to do that, but I was given the opportunity to work in all kinds of different disciplines. My last assignment, I should go back before I worked for General Motors. I gained a degree from the University of Waterloo, a Bachelor of Arts degree, and then I went to General Motors for the 40 years. During my time at General Motors, my last assignment was senior manager. I had 17 people around the world that worked for me. We were responsible for an $850 million budget. And so I know how to handle big money. And, I'm really pleased with our community. I think we're moving in the right direction. And I think staying on the board, I can help keep that momentum going.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll begin with the questions. some of you may have answered some parts of these questions in your opening remarks, but nevertheless, we have to ask them as they were sent to us. So the first question is, what is your highest level of education, your degree if you received any, and your area of study? And the first person to respond is Gigi, and you have up to 2 minutes to respond.
Okay, so I have a degree. I have a bachelor in psychology, and I have a master degree in bioethics. So in bioethics, I was specialized in clinical ethics. So my training is and my core training in bioethics is really about ethical shared decision making. I've worked in creating and training ethical clinical ethic committees in Quebec for a while. I work in research at McGill University in the psychiatric and social department. So I was a project coordinator in epidemiology for 8 years. I was conducting a social survey of 2,500 participants. My last assignment, because I'm semi-retired, but my last assignment in McGill was in epigenetics. So that's why I'm really interested, and I know a little bit about, the factors and everything that influence directly the quality of life of people, especially their health and their happiness. For example, we know that some area of low income people are living much less long than other rich people. So so that's about it. But I also had to deal with big budget as well.
Thank you. Anthony, same question. If anybody needs it repeated, let me know.
So my education is, well, I graduated high school. I did go to a trade school, and from there I went into the service. I went into the Navy. When I got out, I opened up my own business, and I ran my business for over 20 years. Then after that, I was involved in several other businesses where I was the sales manager. Also, I went into the real estate end. I went to real estate school. You had to take a class for that. And became an agent in 1990, and I've been doing that full time. It's 31 years. In between that, I also was able to manage some other businesses that needed my assistance. And then in 2011, I came down here and got my Florida real estate license, and I've been doing that full time for almost 11 years.
Thank you. Rob.
As I said earlier, I went to the University of Waterloo. I received a Bachelor of Arts degree. Interestingly enough, my degree was in history and economics. I hired into General Motors right after completing a university degree. I was the second college grad hired in General Motors of Canada to be a first-line production supervisor. In the past, before I came on board, they would always hire somebody, they'd work in the office for a couple of years to see if they had the skills and the intestinal fortitude to be a first-line supervisor. The fellow that I hired in with, he lasted 6 months, I lasted 40 years. My most proud assignment was leading the response to the tsunami back in 2011. I was selected to lead the global engineering response to that. Interesting enough, again, that team would, we'd sit around at times and talk about ourselves. And when they found out I had a history degree, they couldn't believe that the team was being led by somebody with a history degree, not in engineering, but they recognized I could lead people, get them to do the job and get the job done. We kept the company running, and it was a very thrilling experience. And 2 other times I was called to lead responses as well. And most recently, just after retiring, when COVID hit, I had two vice presidents from General Motors, one in purchasing and one in engineering, saying, Rob, we've got a big issue again. Any interest in coming back? I said, no, but they said, who would you recommend to lead the team? And I gave them advice on who to lead the team and how to make it happen. So interesting for a guy with a bachelor's degree in history and economics to spend most of his career in engineering.
Thank you. Bill?
Okay. Okay, to repeat again, I have education in New York Institute of Technology, NYU School of Engineering, Copper Unit, Polytechnic, Tangent Engineering School, many trade schools and certifications. I have several associate degrees in engineering, architectural, environmental services, and sanitary engineering. I also have a minor in psychology, which really doesn't pertain here because I was a different job, a different life. This is what I did. This was the nuts and bolts. This is about everything that I feel that we need here. I'm from the bottom up to the top type of a guy. I build things, you design it, I build it. So that's where I think my expertise is. And that's that.
Thank you very much. The next question. What was your most recent employment, job title, and responsibilities, and how will these help you as a board member? Some similarity, but a little bit different spin the way this question was asked. We'll begin with Anthony.
Yes, currently I work for the Kai's Real Estate Company out of Boca Raton. I did that when I first moved down here. Prior to that, I was 20 years with the RE/MAX organization in Rhode Island. So my background is in real estate for the last 31 years. And I feel that that background will be a benefit to the board and to Palm Greens. That's it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so Rob, same question.
So well, first of all, I worked for General Motors for 40 years. I had, during that time, as a matter of fact, at my retirement party, they joked that I had 17 different assignments during those years. So I only spent about 2 years at each one, moving on to bigger and better things. My last assignment was Senior Manager of Vehicle Engineering Operations. My responsibilities were for all product programs around the globe. I had 17 direct reports, 9 of them in the United States, 3 in Germany, 1 in Brazil, 2 in China, 2 in Korea. So obviously, I have a skill set of working with diverse backgrounds, and over a global situation, we had to problem solve, get together to figure out how to get things done. I think that's what I bring to the board, an expertise in problem solving, etc. I also have a degree, which is called, or not a degree, it's a certification. It's called Black Belt Six Sigma. It's a certification on analyzing and solving problems in a statistical format. Those are the things I bring to the board, and that's about it.
Okay, and Bill.
You got recent jobs?
Most recent, and how will it help you as a board member?
Okay. Well, my most recent job is I play shuffleboard from 9 to 11 every day. And then on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, we play pool. But other than that, what I worked at was I was an engineer for many municipalities and stuff, like for municipalities, hospitals, federal buildings, and stuff like that. My last project was $100+ million expansion of several plants and county offices, okay, in New York. That was my latest thing.
Yes, and how would that help you as a board member? That was a question.
As a board member?
Yeah.
Well, as I said, as a board member, I understand all the infrastructure. I understand the roads. I understand the sanitary. I understand buildings. I understand roofs. This is what I did. This is what I did for a living. So all these things would definitely pertain to helping on the board.
Thank you. Gigi,
Yes, so my last full-time job assignment were in research for the past, like, let's say 10 years. So I had to manage multiple employees, multiple team on the field doing different things. I was collaborating with 8 researchers. I have to manage a budget of around $1 million. So that's a lot of management organizations. Also, it gives me great skills to stay informed, review all the information, rules, regulation concerning our board and the management of a board. So I'm very focused on details, reviewing, doing summary after that. So I think it can be a great asset for my fellow board members to save them times and do analysis on different things, so we can take decision based on fact. And also I am still president of my HOA up north, and I'm living in the brand new HOA. Nothing was done there, so I work on different committees and team and art to organize and set up all the structures of the main board. So I think that, and I always stay informed on the new regulation on boards.
thank you.
Across. Thank you.
Next question. What would you do if one of the board's decisions was unpopular with residents?
I'm sorry.
Pardon
Can
me?
you repeat that? Can you
Yes.
repeat it? Thank you.
What would you do if one of the board's decisions was unpopular with residents? And Rob answers first.
I think it's very important as a board to, we make a decision together and we have to stick with that decision. Now, if the community came back and, we as a board discussed it and felt, hey, maybe we need to revise our decision, that's good. But out in the community, as a board member, you have to support the decisions of the board. It's a group that is elected to represent all unit owners. We have to listen to unit owners, which we do, but we have to make a decision. And then, as a board, you can't have somebody going off saying, well, they voted this way, but I disagreed with it. That just, tears the community apart. It's very important to stay consistent. And those type of concerns need to be aired within the board, not out in the community.
Thank you. Bill, you're next on that question.
Okay, first and foremost, I feel that we work for the residents. And if the residents have proposals and stuff like that, I think within reason they should be brought up and discussed. And they might not be popular with the board, but if this is what the residents want, you give proposals and you'll be able to give these residents the option, okay, say it costs more money or something like that, that you put an option up there and say, well, we can do it this way, it'll cost you X amount of dollars. If we have to go the other way, it costs you X amount of dollars. But I believe the board works for the residents and the residents should have say.
Okay. And Gigi, you're next.
This is a large question with several dimensions. Rob talked about, allegiance to your colleagues. I think that, yeah, I think that as a working team, we have to manage and take decision, and that's for sure that all decision won't be accepted or popular, as you stated, in the entire community of Palm Greens, as there is different type of resident and different value, the different needs, different beliefs. So yes, those decisions are taken as a working team. That being said, we have to also take a close look of what is going on with the decision among the resident. Sometimes we have to think back and reevaluate our decision based on the resident, because like Bill said, we represent the residents and we have to listen to them. But that has to be done in an ethical manner all the time and in respect with our colleagues also. So unpopular decision, we have to deal with that all the time. We have to rely on the expertise and experience of the board member. And usually when we work with a multidisciplinary team, we come to the right best decision possible, I would say.
Thank you. Anthony.
Yes, again, most of the board decisions will never make all the unit owners happy, unfortunately. I would hope that the board, if I'm not on the board, that the board made the proper decision to benefit the community. If I'm on the board, I would evaluate the situation, maybe even go out to the community and find out what was on their mind. Again, you can't please everybody, but I would hope that the board would make the right decision financially and improve the community with that decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. How would you balance your personal interests as a unit owner with your interest as a board member? And that starts with Bill.
Saying me?
Yep.
Okay. You gotta run that by me again.
Okay. How would you balance your personal interests as a unit owner with your interest as a board member?
Well, as a unit owner, I would like to see, Marvin's Gardens, okay? Sometimes that's not gonna happen. But again, as a board member, you all will have my phone number, you'll see me every day, okay? And I believe that what the residents prefer or want, if whatever, you got 360 people that come over there and say they want their houses painted polka dots. I might not like polka dots, but I believe that I'm a representative of the residents. So I feel the residents should have a lot more input and stuff like that, and see if it's prudent and fiscally possible for us to do.
Thank you. Gigi, same
Yes.
question.
Well, first, I'm not at ease with thinking about personal interest or board member interest. I think that this is two separate attitude that we have to have. If someone would go on the board with special personal interest, eventually it will just show and not fit. It won't be fit for office. This is a hard question because it's funny questions, but I don't see any interest. The interest that I have in running for the board are transparent, and people and residents can see it in my resume and the way and what I believe in and what I'm saying now. The interest is to collaborate to the best interest of the community, and by doing that, it's indirectly serve you as a resident. So if you want to be an ethical board member, you don't go on the board for personal interest.
Okay, thank you. Anthony?
Yeah, I feel that there really isn't much difference between a unit owner or the board member, because they're all unit owners as well. So I doubt very much if any of the board members is going to do something special to their own building and not do it to the rest of the community. So, you know, whatever is good for the community, that's what I think should happen to a board member, whatever is best for the community. And for the most part, I'm with the board 100%. Whatever decisions they made in the past, I went along with it. A few years ago, wasn't so, but this current board, I have to say, did a nice job in putting our finances together. I'm touting Rob's horn, but the board did a nice job. I think the management team that we have now in the office is fantastic, and they think about the unit owners, and the staff that we have in that office is the best we've had in 11 years that I've been down here full time. Thank you.
Thank you. And Rob?
Well, to answer the main part of the question, there should be no interest in personal gain for coming on the board. Matter of fact, it might be the other way, personal sacrifice with the hours and time that you spend. And, you know, I will say that as a current board member, the current vice president, every request, phone call for a unit owner to speak to the board, we have returned. Emails we return and have conversation. We do hear concerns, but you know, I'll be at the pool and somebody will tell me something and I'll take some action on it. And again, as long as it's for the best interest of everybody in the community. Again, sometimes you'll get a unit owner that comes and they are going something for their personal gain. You got to step back and say, hey, I'm really sorry, but that's just for your personal situation and we can't do it. Again, I think we've really done a good job of listening to people in the community. They do need to come forward. You know, as I say, every question, email we have answered in the last 2 years, and we will continue to do that. And I offer my time and services to do it. I will probably tell you right now, I spend many hours out in the community, but walking, being called to say, hey, can you have a look at something, go to unit owners to see their concern and speak to them. I just spoke to a woman this morning about the concern on her sidewalk, taking care of it. So I continue to offer my services and I've got no personal gain at all.
Thank you. Next question. If you are elected, would you consider creating a list of qualified residents who the board could consult before signing plumbing, building, or electrical contracts? Gigi.
Consider. Can you
Do you want me to repeat
I'm
that?
sorry. Yeah, on my
Yeah,
time, no problem.
It's okay. If you are elected, would you consider creating a list of qualified residents who the board could consult before signing building, plumbing, or electrical contracts?
I would certainly consider involving resident in general management and decision, but at this point, I don't know how I would do that, because there is several dimension again about choosing and picking the best resident. Is it based on what criteria it's based on? What I believe though is to maybe create some committees, some working teams. We can do that in fun ways, in targeted ways. But I strongly believe that if people wants to get involved in the community, they should have the opportunity to do that. But of course, you have all the legal dimensions of a board members, the liability of the board members, and you have to do the distinction between, you know, what are the responsibility of duties of a board member compared to a committee, a working committee, or so. So yes, but no, the official, the strict answer is no to create a list of
Okay.
the best
Okay.
person.
Thank you. Anthony?
Yeah, I feel that, you know, we hired First Service to do the bidding for us. I have faith in that system. Everybody knows a plumber, everybody knows an electrician, and it could really get messy. But if somebody felt that they had an electrician or a plumber that would do a better job for less money and save us money, then they ought to approach the management company and say, look, the current plumber we have is too expensive, and why don't you check on my brother-in-law, because I think he can do a better job. I personally don't want to put a whole list together because we'd have 700 names of plumbers and electricians. So I think right at this point, I would rely on First Service, who's had that experience and probably has a list of all the plumbers and have sent those bids out. So I would refer to them, and then I would always listen to a unit owner if they thought they had something better. But right now, I'd want to leave it up to the First Service to take care of those things.
Thank you. Rob?
Well, first of all, I think it's a great question. And I think it's one, again, as a board member, you take it back to the board and say, hey, this idea has come up, and we would discuss it as a board and come to a decision. It would be very difficult, as Gigi mentioned, there's lots of liability. Those of us that are board members are officially the ones responsible when it's signed off and held responsible. So we review them very carefully, but it really is a board decision. It wouldn't be just me saying this is what we should do. And again, sorting through people's qualifications could be very, very difficult to say, hey, we decided to put these 5 people on, and you know, they've written that they've got these degrees, et cetera, or went to all these schools, but to pick the right ones that really have knowledge to help us out. And we've hired First Service, and we have a very qualified property manager who's a retired attorney that helps us out look at the contracts in detail. And you know, the key part of the contract is obviously the financial obligation, but then also how to guarantee that we're getting the work done properly. So, but ultimately it's a board decision. Interesting ideas, those ideas come up, and that's something that, you know, you've elected the board to do, is look at these ideas and make a decision whether we think it's in the right interest of the community or not.
Thank you. Bill?
Okay. I feel residents aren't involved enough. I think a resident should be involved a lot more. I believe there should be committees, okay? And through that committee, without board interference at this particular time when committees are meeting, then in a civilized, organized manner, bring your case to the board or your recommendations to the board, okay? To possibly get the things that you would like done. But I think more residents should be involved in this, and I don't think there are enough are. I definitely believe in committees amongst people, amongst themselves, where they could talk, they could sit down, have a beer, come down, talk, bring a proposal to the board, and then we go from there. And we don't have that. A lot of people just feel like, you know, and I'm not saying the board doesn't do good work, but sometimes people feel it's crammed down their throat. I think if people were more involved and they were able to, you know, have a little bit of a say and stuff like that, even if they don't get their way, I think that's a lot more beneficial. And I think people will like that a lot more.
Thank you. We're nearing the end of the questioning time, so we're going to go on to closing remarks. But since there have been a number of people that I've seen in the chat, which you all may not see, wanting to know who is a full-time resident that is running and who is a part-time resident, or if you are full-time. So in your closing remarks, would you just please answer or state that you are or you aren't? Thank you. And we begin with Rob.
Okay, first
And
of
then
all,
one
I am a
minute for
full-time
closing.
resident. I will say that it's not in our documents that you have to be a full-time resident to be a board member, but I am a full-time resident. I'm offering to continue on the board. I feel we've made a lot of momentum. And as a board, we have discussed having committees next year. We started them in 2020, and then our friend COVID hit, and we had to stop them because we were doing in-person meetings, and we are looking at getting going again. I noted in my resume that spent a lot of time. I said in my resume or my bio that I've received 9,600 emails in almost the 2 years that I've been on the board, send some 3,700. I'm willing to give my time, skills, expertise for another 2 years to continue the momentum that we have. And I think I can help move this committee or this community forward to bigger and better things.
Thank you. Bill.
Say again?
The closing remarks
Okay,
and
okay.
answer whether you're a full-time resident or a part-time resident.
Okay. In short, I'm not a politician. I'm meat and potatoes, okay? What I would do is work with you people, okay? I'm looking to make this place a better place to live, okay? I'm looking to work forward with the people and stuff like that. I bring a great deal of expertise in the field over here as far as infrastructure and so forth.
And are you a full-time resident or not?
I'm a full-time, yes, I'm a full-time
Okay.
resident, and I feel that's very important on a board, okay? Because at times I feel compassion very much for Rob Tom, that he's the only person here in 8 months out of the year. So I think a full-time resident is very important to be on any board. And even though today it's not a requirement, we'll see what happens.
Gigi.
Yes, I'm glad we can talk about the full-time resident or part-time resident.
It's just a quick answer.
No, I am, no, for me, it will be longer than that.
Well, you got a minute.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
37 seconds.
I mean, I am a half-time resident, like I'm a Canadian. I live here 6 months per year for the past 8 years. I see the interaction with first Paul, the property manager, is taking the field work and he's informing what's going on in the field to the board, and the board take the administration decision. And I certainly can work remote, especially with post-COVID. We know that most of the work is theoretical, and it's so I don't see how I cannot fill my duties
Okay.
here.
Thank you. I understand.
Thank you.
Anthony.
Yes, I am a full-time resident. My opinion was always stressed at several other times that I think a board member should be full-time. We're running a $3 million business. I just want to let everybody know that if I am elected, I will fulfill my 2-year obligation and not resign when the work gets too hard or too stressful. We've had several board members on the board currently that have never been elected. So that means somebody resigned or left their position. So I am full-time. I will definitely give you 110%, 12 months out of the year for the next 2 years. Thank you.
Thank you all, and thank you for your politeness and watching the time. We're going to take a short break, and during that time, Art and Marge will come back on, and those of you that are not running for rec board, which is Rob and Gigi, you will go off.